I see the work of your hands. Galaxies spin in a heavenly dance, oh God. All that you are is so overwhelming. I hear the sound of your voice. All at once it's a gentle and thundering noise, oh God. All that you are is so overwhelming. I delight myself in you, captivated by your beauty. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. I know the power of your cross, forgiven and free, and forever you'll be my God. All that you've done is so overwhelming. I delight myself in you, in the glory of your presence. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. You are beautiful, you are beautiful. Oh God, there is no one more beautiful. You are beautiful, God, you are the most beautiful. You are wonderful, you are wonderful. Oh God, there is no one more wonderful. You are wonderful, God, you are the most wonderful. You are glorious, you are glorious. Oh God, there is no one more glorious. You are glorious, God, you are the most glorious. I delight myself in you, in the glory of your presence. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. I'm overwhelmed by you.
Good morning. We are going to read Matthew 5, 1-7, and I have recruited a few folks to help me. And I'm looking for the last one that I recruited. I might need a stand-in. There's somebody else that's willing to do this. I'm going for youth, whatever that looks like. You come? Oh, yes, perfect. All right. We're going to put you. So your numbers are, it's on there, 1 through 5. Right. Now, when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up to a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said,
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.
Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled.
Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy.
Thank you. Jake will give you a high five on the way out.
Nice job. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful song. I invite you to stand if you are able and join us for a time of worship. All my hope is in Jesus.
sins are forgiven. I've been washed by the blood. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. I've been washed by the blood. I've been held by the Savior. I felt fire from above. I've been down to the river. I ain't the same, a prodigal return. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. I've been washed by the blood. I'm no stranger to prison. I've worn shackles and chains, but I've been freed and forgiven. I'm not going back, I'll never be the same. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. I've been washed by the blood. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven. I've been washed by the blood. I've been washed by the blood.
May be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to Harrisonburg Mennonite Church on this wonderful spring day with all the rain. We are thankful that you were able to join us. We know that there are many activities and things that are happening in your life and other places you could be, but we're thankful that you're here. We enter this space to worship God, to be in God's presence, to breathe, to re-energize, to refocus. And so we're glad that you joined us for worship this morning. We extend a special welcome to all those that are streaming online with us. Also, for our visitors, we're glad that you're with us today. I'm happy to meet with you after church in the East Foyer if you'd like to learn a little bit more about our congregation, and we have a welcome bag for you as well. Harrisonburg Mennonite Church is called to be a community of faith, engaging with God in worship, with each other in discipleship, and with our neighbors in friendship. We continue our series on the Beatitudes. This week, Pastor Carmen will be sharing on how God is merciful and how we are called to be merciful because of his mercy. I have a few announcements. As you will notice, we have a rather large lighthouse on stage here today. This was created by Bernard Martin, who's a member of the congregation. He built this back in 2012 as a part of the Vacation Bible School, and it's been used for a number of times throughout the years. Bernard is currently struggling with cancer, and so as a way to honor him, we're going to be using it again this year for Vacation Bible School. And the dates for Vacation Bible School are a little changed this year. They're July 8th through 11th, so for your awareness. We also have reminder cards at the doors on these goldfish cards that have the Beatitudes on the back of them. We're asking folks that to spend time learning these and reading these, and so hopefully we can recite them at the end of this series. And I was told we have some goldfish, some actual live goldfish, so feel free to come up and check them out at some point as well. There will be a hymn sing fundraiser for MCC's work with local partners in Gaza and Israel, focusing on emergency food and assistance for housing for those that have been displaced. The hymn sing will be at Parkview Mennonite Church at 7 p.m. on Thursday, May 9th, and it will be directed by Ben Berge. There's an anonymous donor who will be providing a dollar-for-dollar match up to $25,000. So please come prepared to give generously to that event. And next, Jake has a few announcements for us.
Morning, family. So glad you made it here today. It's so good to see you, to worship with you. I need a couple of volunteers for the announcement, please. A couple volunteers. Laura, thank you very much. I need one more volunteer. Everybody's like, don't look at me. Don't make eye contact with me. Joel, you made eye contact. Oh, John's going to come up. Joel's like, nope. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. So I want you to read the first part of the slide, and I want you to read the second part of the slide. You ready? Next slide.
Camp Out 2024.
Thank you, James. We're going to try that again.
Camp Out 2024.
Thank you.
It's kind of a big deal.
That was good. Okay, let's try it one more time.
Camp Out 2024.
It's kind of a big deal.
Fantastic. Give me a hand. Thank you. Church Camp Out is June 14th through 16th. We go out on a Friday evening, and we'll have a number of events. We'll be there all day Saturday and Saturday night. On Sunday, our worship service won't be here. It will be out at Highland Retreat Center, followed by baptisms. So I'm super excited about that. Please see the office to sign up, or you can also sign up online. You can get an RV spot for hookups or for your tent or a cabin. So be paying attention. We're going to be sharing some more of what will be happening with that. Luis Padilla, come on up. Luis has been our intern at Harrisburg Mennonite Church this year, back in the fall and into the spring. One of his focuses was pastoral care, and so he has spent time listening and praying with you. One of his focuses has been our ministry to our students and our community students on Wednesday nights, and so he's been on the van as it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. He's been eating with these kids and getting to know them. In other words, he's been showing up and showing us who Christ is in so many ways. We're so grateful for his ministry to us, and that is coming to a conclusion. And so I wanted to give him an opportunity to share a couple things before we offer him a blessing.
Yes, a couple things. I forgot two things this morning in the first service, Pastor Jake. The first thing, before I read read the scripture here, to thank Pastor Jake for working with me every Wednesday morning at 9 during the semester. He worked with me, and the night before I had to write a reflection of my activities from the last week. So Pastor Jake put a lot of effort working with me. Thank you, Pastor Jake. Thank you. The other thing I want to say is my dad is going to be watching this service later this afternoon, and I want to greet my dad through this here. Papá, saludes. Gracias por apoyarme. My dad has been my biggest supporter during my 2 years on the seminary. Now I can read this, Pastor Jake. Can you hold this? Yep. So I'm going to finish reading 2 Timothy 4:7-8, and this is the easy English Bible version because it's easy for me. All right? Okay, it goes this way. I have worked to serve Christ well. I have finished everything that God want me to do. I am like a runner who has run to the end of the race. I have continued to believe God's true message. And I take this word for me, and this is for you too. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Come on back, Luis. This blessing comes from our Voices Together hymnal. May the Christ who walks on wounded feet walk with you on the road. May the Christ who serves with wounded hands stretch out your hands to serve. May the Christ who loves with a wounded heart open your heart to love. May you see the face of Christ in everyone you meet, and may everyone you meet see the face of Christ in you. God's blessings. Oh, so this is the first Sunday of the month. I almost forgot. As the worship team comes, we will have a couple baskets that we're holding up here for our Thanksgiving offering. This is an opportunity for you to respond to something that you're grateful for, a gift that you're grateful for that God has given you. And we use what we collect during this particular offering to help those in need in our church and also in our community through our Compassion Fund.
And I invite you to stand again if you're able as we take the offering, our first song. I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise, treasures that fade are never enough. And then you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you. And I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. God, we give you praise that there is nothing better than you, and we just thank you so much for your presence here. We thank you so much for just being with us, and we thank you for this offering that we've received. God, we just pray that it blesses whoever it reaches out to. We thank you so much. Amen. You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depths of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand in all of you. And I stand in all of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due, I stand in all of you. You are beautiful beyond description, yet Jesus died for my sin. In agony and deep affliction, cut off that I might enter in. Who can fathom the passion? Who can fathom this mercy so free? You are beautiful beyond description, Lamb of God who died for me. And I stand in all of you. And I stand in all of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due, I stand in all of you. And I stand in all of you. And I stand in all of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due, I stand in all of you. You may be seated.
Grace and peace to you, sisters and brothers. And some of you who are observant know that I like to say that. And maybe one of the reasons I like to say that is because 35 years ago in July we had a daughter and we named her Grace. So I like to greet people with grace. Part of the reason we named her Grace is I had a spiritual director who for years had been telling me, Carmen, you need more grace in your life. So I did it. Fortunately, my husband had a favorite Aunt Grace, so it was a win-win. I remember that sometimes I would lay in bed at night, sleep-deprived mom, and think, well, if we would have another girl, I would like to name her Hope. Grace and Hope. And then I went even further and thought, wow, if we had 3 girls, I'd like to have Mercy. Grace, Hope, and Mercy. Wouldn't that be cool to go to the potluck with Grace, Hope, and Mercy? But as it turned out, we had 2 sons. They're delightful, but we had to put those names on the shelf somewhere. And I realized that in the years since then, I had not met for a long time very many people named Mercy. I met some Hopes, but I hadn't met a Mercy until several years ago, God started putting Mercy in my life. First, I had to change therapists because of insurance, and I got this new therapist named Mercy. She's lovely, great, compassionate listener, lived up to her name. Then my nephew came and said, asked if I would officiate at their wedding, do the premarital counseling, officiate at their wedding. And my niece-in-law's name, you guessed it, was Mercy, Michael and Mercy. That's such nice alliteration. And then my son Lucas's best friend Hunter and wife Monica had a little girl named Mercy 14 months ago. Her picture's on our fridge. She's precocious and alive, and oh my goodness, what a little powerhouse of mercy. So there were 3 Mercies in my life. Now, the other thing that happened was during COVID, when our household was feeling beat down, as was almost every household in the world, and things were hard. I was no good at Zoom teaching. I was trying to teach at EMU, and I was not cut out to be a Zoom teacher. I changed my password, and I will confess that I used uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, and one of those little squiggly character things. So I think I can tell you I used the word mercy and not totally screw up my security. But I had the word mercy in my password. So all day, every day, because you know how many times a day you put your password in, I was typing mercy, and I was praying mercy. God, have mercy on me, have mercy on my family, have mercy on the world. Nobody knows what's happening, and it's so hard. So those 3 mercies that showed up in my life, and then the season of COVID when I made a password with the word mercy in it, taught me some things. So I was really happy when, as the schedule for the Beatitudes worked out, Jake said I could talk about mercy, because that's way easier. The next one I have to do is talk about being persecuted, but we will put that off for a little bit. So we're on this 5th Sunday in this series where Jesus is teaching his disciples, a smaller group gathered in the inner circle, and then he's teaching the masses of people up on the hills, and then, guys, he's teaching us. Because the verb tenses, blessed are the so-and-sos. It's written for anybody who reads these down through the ages. It's written for us today. If you look at these truths, they are timeless. They did not go out of fashion, okay? So today, Jesus says, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Someone from HMC asked me this week if I was going to, in my sermon, make it easier to extend mercy. And I said, sorry, I can't. I can't make it easier. What I can remind us of, though, is that the mercy begins with God. It does not begin with us. If we think we're going to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and make ourselves a little more merciful, that isn't probably going to last very long. It begins with God, who extends the mercy and the grace and the compassion to us, and then we are commanded, invited, prodded to give mercy to other people. We become merciful because we have received mercy. So we're going to start by looking at Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. Some of you might have grown up with this little ditty of a song in your head. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. I don't know about you, but right now I absolutely love waking up in the Shenandoah Valley in the spring and hearing what? Birds. They're remarkable, these birds. We just came from 2 weeks in the slum with my daughter. We're not birds like this, waking us up in the morning. So the steadfast love of God, it's new every morning. I feel like those birds. And when I am tempted to think that my brokenness is too deep and it's too wide, and when I realize I have run as far as I can run from God, and when I'm despondent because it seems like all these things I've been trying to change for a long, long time are not changing, and I'm stuck in a rut, wanting to grow, wanting to change, these verses remind me that every single day when I wake up, God's mercies are new. I screwed it up the day before, it doesn't matter, because I get to start over new every day. The mercies are new. That is a gift. It's an unspeakable gift. And the challenge to us is to remember and to receive. So we went from the beginning of the day, let's go to the end of the day. Psalm 23, verse 6 tells us that God's goodness and mercy follow us all the days of our lives. So I read that sort of 2 ways. It follows us all the days from youth till death, till old age. God's mercy is following us in every season that we live. I also kind of like to think of it as the hours of the day. So we start with the Lamentations verse about mercy new in the morning, and here we have God's mercies following us around to the end of the day. So God's mercy is behind and before and behind, whatever you want to put that order you want to put that in. But what in the world is mercy? Some people have defined it as love set in motion or love expressed in action. Others say that mercy is a loving response to an offender, and that offender may or may not realize that they offended you. Doesn't matter whether they catch it. They're in need of your mercy. Mercy implies the ability to enter into somebody else's world and to feel for that person and to act to alleviate misery. Mercy means to help others in need who cannot help themselves. In her book, Alleluia Anyway, Rediscovering Mercy, Anne Lamont says mercy is radical kindness. I think that's my favorite definition of all the things I read about mercy this week. Mercy is radical kindness, she says. It's the permission that you give others and yourselves to forgive a debt, to absolve the unabsolvable, to let go of the judgment and pain that make life difficult. And we all have unabsolvable things in our own lives, and certainly as we look around the world. Mercy is the radical kindness that gives us permission to forgive a debt. Dr. Tony Evans says, you can pretty much bank on the fact a time is coming when all of you will need mercy. It's an equal opportunity employer. We are all going to need mercy. We all have the chance to give mercy. Count on it. So in Matthew 18, verses 21 to 35, there's this story. I did not put the words on the screen because I'm going to paraphrase it, and I'd really like you to just listen. As if you grew up in church, you've heard it a lot, and you're tempted to tune it out. However, if you strongly want to see the words, it is Matthew 18, beginning in verse 21. This is a story about mercy. Jesus says there was once a rich king. Maybe we could say he was like a wealthy landowner, and he decided to call in all the debts of all his employees and servants. I don't know if it was tax season or the end of the fiscal year or why he decided it was time to do this, but he wanted to see where everything stood with his books. So a servant was brought to this king who owed 10,000 bags of gold. It probably wasn't literally 10,000 bags of gold. The number 10,000 is the number that was used in that time in writing to mean infinity. So it's an infinite number of bags of gold. This guy, we could say in today's math, probably owed somewhere in billions of dollars range. It was an unimaginable debt. It was unattainable. It was unreachable. So the king, he ordered that the man, his wife, all of his children, and all of their belongings be sold to pay or repay a portion of the debt. When the servant heard this, he fell on his knees and he begged for what? Mercy. He begged for mercy. He said, be patient. I will pay it all back. Guess what? If he worked all day, every day, the rest of his life, if his wife and his kids all worked every day, the rest of their lives, they could not pay that back. Wasn't an attainable number. But he says, be patient, I'm going to pay it back. But the merciful king took pity on this guy, and he canceled all the debt. And he let the whole family go. And I'm thinking, as a non-business person, but this seems unpractical to me, I'm thinking, well, why didn't he forgive a portion of the debt, but at least have these people work with him for years and years? They could have paid off something, but no. You know why? Why did they have to let him go? Because this story is about extravagant mercy. It is about jaw-dropping, nonsensical, life-transforming mercy. It's an act of mercy so large no one can measure it. This story, sisters and brothers, is about what God does in our lives. God extends us mercy. What did God do by sending Jesus to live among us, to die, to redeem the world through the power of the resurrection? That is mercy to the nth degree. That's what this story is about. God's infinite, incredible mercy that we benefit from. Here's the thing, though. The story doesn't end here, because this guy who got the unspeakable amount of mercy, he did not allow that gift to change him. He did not allow his heart to be transformed by what he received. So Jesus tells us that not very long after this first guy had all his debts forgiven, somebody came up to him that owed him some money, a small amount of money, probably the equivalent of 100 days of minimum wage work. So 3-4 months of work. Not a huge amount. It'd be attainable to pay that off. The first guy chokes his fellow co-worker and says, "Pay me what you owe me." And the servant falls to his knees, and he makes the very same speech the first guy made. He says, "Be patient with me. Be patient with me. I will pay it back." And this first guy says no. He refuses to give any mercy. He has the second guy thrown into prison, and the key is thrown away. There is no mercy here. And then social media, being what it was then, kicked in. Social media being everybody talking to everybody else. And everybody began to talk about the injustice of this story and the double standard of this story, and how could it be that the one guy got all this mercy and the other guy got nothing? How could this be? So the word gets back to the king about how the servant who had been given so much was unable to extend any mercy to the other slave. The master called the servant in, the one who had had that huge debt forgiven, and he said, "You wicked servant, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had on you?" That is the heart of this beatitude. Jesus saying, "I had mercy on you. Be merciful." You are called to be merciful. So in anger, the master handed this guy to the jailer to be tortured till he could pay back everything he owed. And we already know he will not ever be able to pay back everything he owes. So it's not a happy ending to the story. I think that this first servant's inability to respond to his neighbor's cry for mercy when he had just received so much mercy shows us that he did not allow his heart to be touched when he received mercy. And his inability to extend mercy cost him dearly. Old and New Testament scriptures invite us to respond to others with mercy in the same way we receive it. This process does not begin with us. It begins with God, who is merciful and gracious. First of all, we do not earn mercy. We receive it as a gift. So James chapter 2, verse 13, here's another verse that tells us that judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. And that's what happens at the end of that story. Judgment without mercy. But mercy, James says, triumphs over judgment. And I think herein lies the disparity gospel. So this whole series, we've been talking about disparities, differences, and big things and little things. So we've got the little goldfish with 2 fish in it, goldfish bowl, and the giant goldfish bowl with just 1. What's that about? That's for you to think about. What is disparity? How is it that Jesus in these Beatitudes sets things up and does little twists on how the world was thinking about things? I think that much of the time in our world, we do not live in a world or culture that values mercy over judgment. We value judgment over mercy, over and over again. Why else would we be so caught up with legal shows and cop shows and things where people, we think, get what they deserve? We want them to get what they have coming to them. We have phrases in our language like zero tolerance or make no exception. Phrases like make no allowance, have no sympathy, play hardball. None of those phrases communicate anything about mercy. They communicate about judgment. And depending on our news source, it feels like the world is heartless and cruel, and like inhumanity has the upper hand. And my heart cries out, where, oh, where is your mercy, God? I think it's there, but it doesn't often get the big, bold headlines. Sometimes mercy is found in behind-the-scenes gentle responses to bold and bombastic threats. Sometimes mercy is courage in the face of very real fear. Sometimes mercy is selflessness in the face of unbridled power. It's compassion in the face of injustice. Mercy is truth spoken to false prophets. Mercy is community, like what we find here. Community at camp out on Sunday mornings, in Bible school, in Venture Club. It's community in the face of rugged individualism. Mercy, here's what we all need: the chance to begin again and again and again when we think the chances have all been used up. But Jesus brings us another one, another chance, another mercy. In the words of Mother Teresa, mercy might be doing small things with great love. So in the Catholic Church, here is a picture from 1504 in the Netherlands. These are wooden panels that were made to depict what the Catholic Church calls the 7 corporal works of mercy. And these works parallel Matthew 25. They are ways that we are called to respond to God's mercy. In mercy, we feed the hungry. We give water to the thirsty. We clothe the naked. We shelter the homeless. We visit the sick. We visit the imprisoned. We ransom the captive. We bury the dead. As we care for all those in the world who are hurting, we are extending mercy. 35 years after those panels were written, in the very same country, in the Netherlands, in 1539, our own Menno Simons wrote about true evangelical faith. If you're not familiar with the name, Menno Simons was a Catholic priest who left Catholicism to help to found a new movement in the church, and he is the founder of the Mennonites. Menno said that our faith cannot lie dormant. It should spread itself out in all kinds of righteousness and fruits of love, which I believe are works of mercy. And you will see that these parallel the 7 from the earlier list, and they all parallel Matthew 25. So these are 7 of the 17 things that Menno Simon listed. True evangelical faith, he said, it clothes the naked, it feeds the hungry, it comforts the sorrowful, it shelters the destitute, it binds up what is wounded, it heals the sick, it becomes all things to all people. Those are tall orders. Yet I find some real comfort in knowing that people have been trying to do this. I mean, these were written in the 1500s. Clearly, people have been trying to do this much, much earlier than that. None of us can do all these things, but all of us can do something. In response to God's mercy, some people here make comforters or school kits or hygiene kits for MCC. And some people help with Venture Club and teach Sunday schools or Bible schools. Some build houses in Honduras. Some sing hymns for peace in the Middle East. Some prepare food for fish fries or the relief sale. Some of you do your level best to be a patient roommate or neighbor or spouse or parent or teacher or healthcare worker or teenager. Every dimension of our life offers an invitation to grow in mercy. God wants all of us to grow our mercy muscles, which is what I'm calling them, to not let them stagnate, to not think, oh, I've done that, and so that's enough, to always be asking, what new could I be doing to show mercy? This week, I'm challenging each of you to extend new waves of mercy to somebody you find it hard to feel compassion for. It might be the person at home that never hangs up their towels or does not help with the dishes. It might be the neighbor that leaves the trash can blocking your drive. It might be the dog owner who does not clean up after their dog. It might be the cashier who's a grouch, or the person in your office that you are having some conflict with. Somebody somewhere in your life is crying out for mercy. I invite you to think about what it would mean to respond mercifully. Because in the everyday minutia of life, we can always extend mercy and grow our mercy muscles, but that isn't all. We're also called to look at the bigger picture of those things on those two lists. I'm encouraging you, if you don't have one, to find a giving passion, a service project to help with, based on one of the 7 works of mercy. Be merciful to the hungry, the thirsty, the homeless, the sick, the injured, the captive, the imprisoned, the grieving, the dying. Ask God how God can use you to extend mercy in a place of pain. So when I was teaching, I often taught my students to say the very simple prayer, Lord, have mercy. This is the prayer that I find myself praying when I'm overwhelmed. When there's another mass shooting and I don't know how to pray, I am drawn to Lord, have mercy. When the news is full of stories about bombings and war and famine and hostages and immigrants and refugees, I cry out, Lord, have mercy. When I hear an ambulance going down our street near our house, Lord, have mercy. When I hear of a dreaded cancer diagnosis right here in our own church, or a terrible accident, or when addictions and depression take over the life of an extended family member, my heart begs, Lord, have mercy. Is that a cop-out prayer? I don't think so. It's the depth cry of my heart. There's a writer named Bob Hostetler, who is not the Bob Hostetler who goes to first service. He says, the prayer, Lord have mercy, is a confession of need. Sometimes it's our need, and sometimes it's someone else's need. But it's almost always a need. My need, someone else's need. And we say these words to acknowledge that we don't have the resources to meet this need. So we cry out, Lord, Lord, have mercy, because we believe God does show mercy. God grants mercy to those who deserve none. And when God does, things change. Lives change. Sisters and brothers, we change. When we cry out, Lord, have mercy, we open ourselves to change. Pray with me. Merciful God, for your tender mercies in our broken lives, we give thanks. We cry out for mercy for all those who suffer. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayer and make us merciful people. Amen. So as we sing songs of worshipful response today, if you would like to pray, I will be in this back corner and could pray with you, and we have some other folks that will be in that corner as well. Feel free to come for some special prayer.
Carmen, I feel like I can never watch Judge Judy again. It's my favorite show, sorry.
Mercy.
Thank you. The response song here, Overwhelmed, one of the things we talked about in worship committee in preparation for the service was another story about Mercy, the prodigal son, and there's a point in there where the father actually hikes his cloak up when he sees his lost son coming, and he runs toward his son. And in that time, in that age, that was considered a very shameful act. And yet the father ran toward the son unashamed. And so there's a line in this song that kind of flips that around. It says, God, I run into your arms unashamed. And why can we be unashamed? Because of mercy. So I invite you to stand and sing this song. If it's not familiar, it is new, but you can reflect on the mercy that God extends to us and how we can extend that mercy to others. So.
I see the work of your hands,
Galaxies spin in a heavenly dance, oh God. All that you are is so overwhelming. I hear the sound of your voice. All at once it's a gentle and thundering noise, oh God. All that you are is so overwhelming. I delight myself in you, captivated by your beauty. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. I know the power of your cross, forgiven and free, and forever you'll be my God. All that you've done is so overwhelming. I delight myself in you, in the glory of your presence. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. You are beautiful, you are beautiful. Oh God, there is no one more beautiful. You are beautiful, God, you are the most beautiful. You are wonderful, you are wonderful. Oh God, there is no one more wonderful. You are wonderful, God, you are the most wonderful. You are glorious, you are glorious. Oh God, there is no one more glorious. You are glorious, God, you are the most glorious. I delight myself in you, in the glory of your presence. I'm overwhelmed by you. God, I run into your arms, unashamed because of mercy. I'm overwhelmed by you. I'm overwhelmed by you. A thousand times I've failed, still your mercy remains. And should I stumble again, still I'm caught in your grace. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. Your will above all else, my purpose remains. The art of losing myself in bringing you praise. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. In my heart and my soul, Lord, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades.
soul. Lord, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. The cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out.
From the inside
Out, Lord, my soul cries out.
You will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will burst into song before you, and all the trees of the fields will clap their hands. You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of the fields will clap their hands while you go out with joy. You shall go out with joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands while you go out with joy. You shall go out with joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of the fields will clap their hands. The trees of the fields will clap their hands while you go out with joy.
Receive now these words of blessing for your week. As you go out with joy, and even if you go out with some sorrow, take all that to the loving arms of God who made you, and who walks with you and comforts you, remembering that God's mercies are new every morning. Be strengthened by that. And from those mercies, may you extend mercy to those around you, those near at hand, those far away. Now may God bless you and keep you. May the very face of God shine upon you and give you peace. And all God's people say, Amen. Go in blessings.
You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of